Hello, hello. I hope you all are doing well. It is time to make my afternoon cup of coffee, so I thought it'd be fun to make it together, and then I want to cozy up on the couch and do a little life update, catch up, Q&A, and I always love to do this every so often because I feel like it's a great way to connect, catch up, and just share kind of what's on my heart, and then we can kind of talk in the comments and see how everybody's doing. So that's the plan for today. If you would like to join me, I would love it if you made yourself a little beverage. It could be an iced water, it could be a warm cup of tea, whatever you fancy. But this way we can kind of just imagine we're sitting on the couch together, catching up like two old friends. So it's precisely what we're gonna do, and let's get started. I think I'm gonna make a maple sea salt latte today. How yummy does that sound? Cheers. Yum, yum, yum. This smells so delicious. I love that maple butter from Trader Joe's, and I actually looked on the back package. I don't know why I didn't do this before, to see like the ingredients, and the only ingredient is organic maple syrup. So I guess there's a way to kind of solidify it more and keep it in that like firmer texture. I'm not sure. I'm sure one of you guys know. So if you know why that happens, let me know. Well, you do have to keep it in the refrigerator, so that probably helps. But my other maple syrup is in the refrigerator and it's completely liquidy, so who knows? Many questions of life, but speaking of questions, I have my list here ready to go. And before I dive into the questions, I just wanted to share like a brief overview of who I am in case you're new here or you don't know like where I live, where, you know, my upbringing, anything like that. So I'm just gonna do a brief little explanation of who I am. I'm Allison. I live in Florida. I absolutely love it here. I feel like I thrive in the warm climate and it's really lush, lots of nature. So I'm really thankful to live here. I actually am born and raised in Florida, so it's kind of all I've known. And I went to college at the University of Florida, go Gators, which is about 2.5 hours from where I currently live. And I really enjoyed it, but it actually made me really appreciate living in a bigger city, if that makes sense. And I don't live directly in a downtown area. I live in more of like a suburban area, but that is something I've learned about myself in college. I had a great experience, but I definitely love living close to like a metropolitan area because I love going to restaurants, going to coffee shops, and just doing fun events and activities. That's always something I've really enjoyed, and adventures. And I live here with my husband, Brandon. He's my high school sweetheart, actually. So we started dating when I was 15 and he was 17, and we've been together for almost a decade. So we never broke up or anything. We've just been like connected at the hip. Is that the phrase? You know what I mean. We've just been two peas in a pod ever since, and in March we'll celebrate like our 10-year dating anniversary. So super crazy. And then we've been married for 2.5 years. In February will be our 3rd wedding anniversary, so really looking forward to that. And our family is growing, or it has grown. No babies yet, sorry to tease you, but we adopted our puppy Palmer in February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, last February. And he has been such a joy in our life. And I feel like having a dog, of course, people who don't like dogs will not agree with this sentiment at all, but I feel like having a dog just completes your home in a sense, and it just makes it so much more warm and inviting, and they just have so much joy and such pure hearts. So that's just like really inspired me, having him. And you know, the responsibility, it definitely is such a huge responsibility. So that's taught me a lot about, you know, not being as selfish and self-centered on like what's going on, but, you know, caring for his needs and everything. So it's been a really sweet yet challenging experience to be a dog mom, which may sound silly to people who don't have dogs, but if you have a dog or puppy, better yet, you understand where I'm coming from. So that's been a sweet experience, and I currently do YouTube and content creation full-time. I've done it full-time for about a year and a half, or yeah, a year and a half. And before that, I worked for the Walt Disney Company. So I did social media for them, and it was a great experience as well. But I'm honestly so grateful to be able to do this full time, because I feel like it's just provided such an opportunity to kind of pave my own path. And even though I loved working for the Walt Disney Company, it definitely is much more sweet and meaningful to kind of have the freedom, the creative freedom to, again, pave my own way. So that's been really sweet. I'm trying to think of anything else. My faith is really important to me, and this past couple of years, I've really, you know, drawn closer to family and friendships, and that's become more of a high priority to me. I feel like a couple years ago, work was definitely like my highest priority, or really up there over relationships, but recently that's been something that I'm focusing on more. And I'm in my early 20s. I'm 23. I'll be 24 next month, but oh wait, no. I'm 24 and I'll be 25 next month. But I feel like I'm still just learning so much about life and about who I am and who I want to be. So I've been on a journey, which is what your early 20s is all about, I feel like, and what your whole life is about. Who am I kidding? I mean, it's always a learning journey. So there's my little get to know me spiel. I feel like that was quite long-winded, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of who I am. Okay, let's dive into the questions. So let's see. What are you most looking forward to in 2022? So one thing that comes to mind is travel. I'm hoping to travel more. We'll see, never really know. Maybe more road trips. And then I'm just gonna get to the most asked question, which is babies. And some people ask me, like, does the peer pressure get to you? Like, do you not like getting asked about babies? And honestly, I totally understand why that can be such a toughy, tender subject, because it is so personal and intimate. Currently, I feel very open about it. I don't have any hesitation in like talking about it. I actually love talking about it. I have so many friends who are mothers, and I'm just so inspired by them. And like, I'm like getting emotional already. Oh my goodness, this coffee got some like emotional juice in here. But I'm just so inspired by them, and like clearly, and now that I have so many mothers who are close to me, it is such a challenge. Like, it's so tiring and exhausting and never ending, but like, it's so beautiful. And I feel like the past couple months even, I've just been really starting to kind of crave that experience and become more confident in that chapter. But with that said, Brandon and I have talked about it a few times, and we still would like to wait until 2022 to start trying for a baby, and not even at the beginning of 2022, but later on. So it's that's definitely what I would be most looking forward to, though, is potentially starting a family, or beginning the journey to try to start a family. Hopefully next year. I really hope so. It's just something that I'm really looking forward to, and I feel like it's such a beautiful life experience. And again, who knows, God willing, you never know what will happen. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And some people ask like how many kids we want and all that. And right now I feel like it's hard for us to say. I just feel so naive even saying it, but I'm an only child actually. So I didn't grow up with siblings, and Brandon has 2 siblings and a half brother, so he has 3 siblings. And then we have our in-laws now, our sister-in-law. So it's hard for me to say, but I think I would like 4. And we're also open to adopting and fostering, so motherhood could look like a lot of different things. So we'll kind of see how it goes, see where God leads us, but I'm definitely so looking forward to that chapter and, you know, that journey. I'm excited and I'm nervous, but like, I'm trying to get to the mental space, and I feel like it's something I'm thinking about a lot more, where I can just kind of become the best I can be, so that my children have like a great example to look up to, and such a big responsibility. So lots of thoughts, but also lots of excited and hopeful feelings about babies as well. Another question, kind of going off what I shared about working for Disney, someone asked if I miss working for Disney, and then more generally, people asked if I miss working for a company with like the typical leadership lineup and everything. So I personally don't at all, like at all. I love Disney, like don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Disney, and I'm planning to go soon, and I'm gonna try to take some videos so you guys can experience the magic as well. But I started working for Disney when I was 17 years old. I grew up in the Orlando area, so you know, it was just kind of like what you did. And I was a character performer, so I got to dress up, and you know, that was such a dream come true. I really enjoyed that experience. And then I transitioned to the social media team. And again, I have nothing but wonderful things to say about my experience, but this is truly so much more fulfilling to me, to be able to have more flexibility and to be able to decide what I want to put out in the world. You know, I'm not confined to any business needs per se, and I'm not, you know, I'm not closed into like one category. And again, I think it's just the freedom of being able to make the schedule, but then also produce any kind of content that I, you know, feel called to produce, if that makes sense. So thankfully I don't miss it. I do miss the people, I would say, most of all. Like thankfully I am like an independent person, so I don't really get lonely throughout the workday, and my husband works from home as well, and I have some girlfriends who work from home, so we can kind of connect. But when I was working at Disney, I had two sweet girls with me in our little cube, and we would just have the best time together, just laughing, giggling, eating snacks, you know, complaining to each other if we were ever kind of going through anything. So that was definitely my favorite part. So I do miss that sometimes. Someone asked my best marriage advice, and I don't know if I've shared this before, but one thing that was just crucial learning experience for me that I'm still working on, honestly, is just being realistic and mindful of my expectations for my husband, but also any relationship in my life. I feel like for so long, I just had these expectations for people that, oh, well, of course you would do that for me because I would do that for you, or of course you would know that I wanted you to offer to help me cook dinner, or of course you would know that I need help with laundry. Like just these little things in my head that I thought were obvious, but were not. And that has just been so helpful to have that like in my head. Okay, don't create these expectations. Just have this clear communication with your husband, but also your friends and family. And of course, they're not gonna act exactly how you would hope, even. That's not what I'm trying to say, but you know, just being clear and realistic, but also being fair and acknowledging the fact that we're all different people. We all have different priorities, and you know, just having that mindset of not creating these expectations for people and not being so sensitive when you have these expectations and then they aren't followed through with. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's been a big thing. And then something kind of more little, but also I feel like makes a big impact on our marriage and connection with one another, is going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. And I know this isn't always realistic with work schedules and whatnot, but this has just been really sweet because right before bed, we're able to connect and check in with one another. And then right when we wake up, we're also able to have that. And that connection at the beginning and end of each day, I feel like really just kind of fills up my heart. And it's a great time to make sure like we're good and we can have that quick check-in. So also a little piece of advice. Okay, travel. I love talking about travel. So any travel plans coming up? So for my birthday in November, we're gonna do a road trip to Tennessee with Palmer. We're taking the baby puppy. We're gonna show him the mountains. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not sure what the leaves will look like and what exactly the weather will be like. Hopefully we'll get some colorful fall leaf action, but I know that can kind of be tricky with the weather. You never know when the leaves are gonna fall, but really looking forward to that and just kind of getting away, listening to the Lumieres as we drive through the mountains, windows down, or maybe not because it might be chilly. So we're really looking forward to that. And then in December, we're planning on going on a family trip with Brandon's family to Costa Rica. Hopefully that'll happen, we'll see, but that'll be nice. And then for our anniversary in February, I'm hoping to plan a ski trip. So if any of you have skied in Park City, Utah, or in that area, I would love your tips and advice because I've never been to Utah. We have grown up skiing and my family would go skiing in Colorado and I loved it. It's so beautiful, and I feel like a lot of people say Colorado has the best skiing, but I would love to just experience Utah, specifically Park City, because I've heard really nice things about just the town. It's super cute, lots of good restaurants and all that. So, and I love to experience new places. I love going back to places I love, but there's something exciting about, you know, seeing a place you've never seen in person before. So I'd love to plan a trip there, and hopefully we'll do some more spontaneous trips. A few months ago, we did a road trip to New Orleans from Florida, and it was just such a fun, spontaneous thing, and that's something I want to get back into doing more, especially before we have babies, because we do have that freedom to kind of just hop in the car and go adventure, and I feel like that's a great bonding experience. So, good stuff. In general, how are you? And so sweet. So many people just asked, how am I, like, mentally and how I'm feeling? And I feel like this honestly depends on the day a lot of the times. There's so many factors, and I honestly feel like this season of my life has been so beautiful and full of so many answered prayers and just, you know, God's goodness. And I really have felt so joyful in this season, but I have my bad days just like everybody else. And more than anything, I feel like I've just struggled with overthinking and being too critical to myself. So that's just like what I'm dealing with right now. But again, it kind of just depends on the day, like how I'm feeling. And I definitely have been really intentional with controlling what I consume. And that has played such a positive impact on my life. And I've been trying to read like Jane Austen books and kind of more classic books, because those really inspire me and bring me peace. If you've read those books, maybe you can relate. And even just like listening to classical music and stuff like that, and just filling my mind with more wholesome things instead of just reading the media and the news and social media all the time. Don't get me wrong, I get so much inspiration from social media and some of my favorite creators, but it definitely is healthy for me to kind of disconnect from that all and take time to just really think to myself and focus on the beauty of the world, because I'm sure, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure like you can probably agree that it's a lot. This world is just so broken and so exhausting, and there are days where I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is this place? Why are we living in this crazy world? But then there are other days where I'm like on my morning walk and the trees, the winds are blowing, the tree branches are blowing, and it's just so peaceful. The birds are singing, and I'm just like, wow, this is beautiful. So it's just a journey, but overall I would say I'm feeling really well and just so thankful for the season of life, and yeah, hopeful for what's to come. Next question, struggles you experience with being a YouTuber. Again, I'm very thankful for my job and I really enjoy it so much. And I feel like this kind of goes on with another question, but I feel like one of the things that helped me thrive in this job is that I love it so much and that I care so much. I really truly care about you and, you know, what I'm doing. And I also care about the videos I create, and I do find a lot of purpose within it, which has just made it that much more meaningful and that much more enjoyable. So again, I don't want to like be negative about it, but any job, even your dreamiest dream job ever, will have pain points and will have things that are less than fabulous. So I think for the YouTube, it's, of course, the negative comments can be hard, but thankfully I've developed thicker skin, which is good, because I was so sensitive before. Seriously, the most like someone could poke me and I'd be like, ow, you know, just drama. But I'm definitely better at that, so that's a answered prayer. I would say the work-life balance can be tricky sometimes, but I have done like certain things to make sure I'm, you know, more rigid with that and make sure I'm living life and not just filming everything. So we take a day off of social media every week, which has been amazing. And what would I say the biggest negative is? This person specifically said the biggest negative besides the mean comments, because they know that's just like the typical answer. So I'm trying to think of like a more unique one. I would say the thing I dislike the most is just like all the logistics that come with it, which again, it's part of the industry and it's what you have to do, but like the emails and just like coordinating invoices and all like the business stuff, it's just kind of boring and tedious. Again, it's nothing crazy, it's nothing too bad or anything, but that would just definitely be my least favorite part. Yeah, my least favorite part. Creating the videos and editing and that kind of stuff is by far my favorite, so. Okay, kind of going along with that, someone asked, what do you do on your social media detox day? And they said that they oftentimes get bored on that day, which I can get that. I can totally understand. So every Saturday, typically, sometimes we switch it up depending on the schedule, but every Saturday, my husband and I take a rest day, which we call the Sabbath. And whenever I say Sabbath, people ask me if I'm Jewish or anything like that. And I'm a non-denominational Christian, so you don't have to be like a certain religion to practice Sabbath. It's just like a spiritual practice that anyone can implement. It's a rest day. And basically, this day looks different sometimes, but most of the time it starts with waking up, making breakfast, drinking coffee, just having a slow start to the day. And then we'll typically go to the farmer's market with our puppy, walk around there, maybe grab some lunch, meet friends there. And then something that I love to do on the Sabbath is read. And this is one of the best times to read because oftentimes during the week I could be like, oh, I can pick up my book and read, or I could just go on TikTok for 3 hours, you know? But on that day, it's like my rule to not go on social media, so I'm gonna read, you know? There's nothing else to do. So reading is definitely a big one, and I think planning game nights with friends or family is also a great thing. And what else? You could go for a bike ride, do something in nature is always something we like to do as well. So things like that. And I'll also watch TV on that day. If there's a TV show or movie I would like to watch, we'll do that. And cooking, making fresh pasta is a new favorite of ours, which takes a lot of time. So that kind of eats up a lot of the day. Someone asked, what is your favorite time of year? And I bet a lot of you could guess what my favorite time of year is. 100% the autumn season. I love this time of year. It is just full of cozy creature comforts, and I love it as well because Christmas is my favorite holiday, but autumn is so beautiful because you have so much to look forward to. And Christmas is beautiful, but like after Christmas, it's kind of just like the dull part of the year. I love the new year, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, it can't compare to autumn and Christmas season. So yeah, I absolutely thrive in this time. I've been having so much fun making the autumn themed videos and just embracing the coziness. So definitely autumn. Are we wanting to rescue another dog? Wow. So we feel like our hands are pretty full right now, honestly, but we were just at my dad's house this weekend and he has a boxer and they had the best time together. They were running, playing, and it just like warmed my heart so much to see Palmer just absolutely thriving. So that made me want to get another dog just for his sake. But you know, we take him out so much and like he gets to see other dogs often. So I feel like he is satisfied in that area. And I don't know, I don't really see ourselves getting a dog until he's fully kind of calm and trained. And then I could see us adopting an older dog, like maybe 2 or 3 or 7 or something like that, where they're kind of out of the puppy phase. Like we can train them still to, you know, have manners, but the puppy phase was hard, I will say. It was very challenging, at least for us. And I feel like it's not really talked about that much, that it's, you know, it's tricky. It's very exhausting. I don't like to compare it to babies because I have no idea, but like they are a baby animal that you have to care for and help get through those first few months of life. And he's about 9-10 months now. We don't know exactly, but I think it'd be nice to have another one day. Advice for single girls praying for the right guy. This is tricky because I haven't been single for 10 years, so I feel like maybe I'm not the best person to give advice to, but I do have lots of friends who are single and kind of just navigating that. And I would say, hopefully it's not too cliche, but focusing on yourself and trying to work on your personal development and character during this time is such a beautiful thing, and fully just trusting in God to provide your partner and kind of letting go of the control of it all, because I can only imagine how exhausting and tiring it is to go on dates and try to get to know people, and then if it doesn't work out, it's just like an emotional roller coaster. So I feel like just trying to work on yourself and being at peace as much as possible with your singleness is really beautiful. I actually follow this friend on TikTok. I need to find her account and I'll put it on the screen, which maybe she posts it on her Instagram reels as well, but she has this series of dating herself in singleness, and I think it's so beautiful. Her account name is Within Warm Walls, and she just is such a beautiful human. So if you are single, maybe this series would be helpful for you and you can kind of relate and connect with her in that aspect. Okay, this is already getting quite lengthy, so I'll just do a couple more fun ones. Okay, advice for new homeowners. So we became homeowners last December. We moved into our home, and this is our first home, so it's definitely been a learning experience. It's had its very challenging moments and just kind of navigating everything. And I did have some overwhelming weeks when we first moved in because it was right before Christmas. So I was trying to like be present in Christmas time, but also trying to get settled. So it was a lot. And someone told me the quote, "Rome wasn't built in a day." And I just repeated that to myself so many times whenever I was like, oh, I just want this room to be finished. Oh, I just want my furniture to be here, blah, 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 blah. I would just kind of say that. And obviously Rome is so gorgeous, and any old ancient city like that is just so beautiful. And you know, you don't have to rush to get everything done and everything perfect. You can just do one thing at a time, one room at a time. And something I kind of promised myself too is I'm still gonna invite people over, like even right after I moved in. I'm still gonna host and do game nights, have family stay with us, all that, because even though everything wasn't perfect and done, I just always wanted this to be a place like for community and for people coming over. So that's my advice, I would say. Okay, this question is good. How do you stay positive besides your spirituality? So obviously I've shared my faith and how that's important to me. And for me, my faith in Jesus and, you know, the gospel, that provides like a joy that is unshakable. And I mean, maybe unshakable. I'm not sure if I could fully say that because it definitely can be shaken a little bit, but I'm trying to make it unshakable. But that's something that's just like so to my core, like it brings me so much peace. But besides that, like, you know, surrounding myself with beautiful people that inspire me and, you know, spending time out in nature, that really is so healing and makes me have more hindsight of, you know, how beautiful and big the world is. So that helps me a lot. And then my puppy, he provides so much like little joy and laughter and positive energy throughout the day, but also he can be a pain in my butt sometimes. So, you know, it's a little balance, but yeah, that's been really big. And I also love food. I love cooking, and that creates positivity in my life. And again, getting back to like what you consume and what you fill your mind with, that plays a huge role in just like your mental state and your positive outlook. Okay, last question. We'll end on like a light, fun one. And it is, where did Brandon propose? So like I mentioned, we got married almost 3 years ago, got engaged over 3 years ago. We had like a 7-month or 8-month engagement. And he proposed actually just about a mile away from where we currently live, which is really sweet because it was on a lake, like on a dock and stuff. And he did floating lanterns because I mentioned I worked for Disney, a big Disney lover over here. And when I was a character performer, I played Rapunzel. So that was always really sweet too. I mean, she's my favorite princess, so go live your dream. So he did that, and it was a really sweet day. I shared our whole engagement story a long time ago, so if you want to watch that video, it's on my channel. But it's kind of neat that now we live only a mile away from that specific spot, and we didn't know we were gonna live here or anything, but it's just kind of like a full circle moment and a really sweet thing that happened. But that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me. I forgot to drink my coffee. It's probably gonna need to be preheated or reheated now, but I love you all. I'm so thankful for you and cannot wait to see you super soon.